Well, hello to everyone, and thank you all so much for joining us for the Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call. It is a pleasure, as always, to serve and assist you. We are so excited and grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule to join us. I'm always excited to introduce the host for this amazing call, Dr. Stan Harris, a.k.a. Dr. Breakthrough. He has been hosting this call for over 5 years, so I'm definitely excited, and we celebrate him for his commitment to the people. At any rate, Dr. Stan Harris is an amazing gentleman. He's a martial artist. He's an evangelist, an author, a life coach, martial artist. He's a husband, he's a father, author, and so much more. If you would like to know more about Dr. Harris, you can always visit his website, www.drbreakthrough.com. All right, Dr. Harris, take it away.
All righty, thank you. That's my lovely wife, Nadia, my ABCD. That stands for Adorable Brown Caramel Delight. We say we're a covenant couple, building covenant relationships based on the covenant of promise, and we aspire to inspire breakthroughs even after we've expired. Well, our special guest tonight understands and knows breakthroughs. I tell you, my friend, he's had perhaps more physical healing breakthroughs than anybody I know personally. And not just that, my friend, he's been anointed that he's going to bless and help you tonight as well. So our special guest, again, I met him through Greg Baker, and I met Greg through Dave Bass. So, again, this thing is all about relationships. My wife and I, we say, again, we're a covenant couple building covenant relationships based on the covenant of promise, and we aspire to inspire breakthroughs even after we've expired. So every caller tonight, just so you know, you're going to receive a free copy of a powerful book, by the way, that's sold over 500,000 copies. So if you stay to the end, we're going to give you the information on how you can get your copy. And if you listen to the replay, make sure you stay to the end. You'll get that information. So Rabbi Don, he is an incredible, incredible gentleman. I mean, when you hear his story, and you're going to hear some tonight, 2 heart attacks, 3 strokes, leukemia, chemo, bone transplant, pneumonia 14 times. He was given 2 weeks to live by the doctor, but you're going to hear tonight he listened to another doctor, and he is still alive, and not just alive, he is doing well, and he's here to bless you tonight. So real quick, you need to text somebody, call somebody. If they're sick, broke, busted, and disgusted, get them on this call. They want to hear Rabbi Don Goldstein, who's going to bless you tremendous. So Rabbi, thank you for joining us, taking time out of your busy schedule, and God bless you, sir. Thank you for being part of this Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call.
Thank you for having me.
So, man, you got to tell us the story. I mean, man, you know, I remember as a kid, I used to watch the $6 Million Man and put him back together. Man, tell us all these things you've been through, and yet you're not just living, you're healthy and thriving. So I love the information that you put out, by the way. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Absolutely. Well, in 2001, as you said, I had what they call a widowmaker heart attack, and was rushed to the hospital, and basically they couldn't handle me there, and they put me on a helicopter for a 4-minute trip from one hospital to the main hospital, and told my wife that I would not be alive on the other end. But obviously I made it, and that was the beginning of my adventures with my health issues. It was very shortly after that I had 3 strokes. It was a very difficult period. I was unemployed for a full year. Fortunately, I had a network marketing company that I had been working for that supported me more and more and more every month as the residuals were coming in. So that was the good part of it, is that I wasn't destitute financially. And then 2.5 years later, literally 2.5 years later, we went on a cruise, and I was very tired. I just thought I was working too hard. And by the second day of the cruise, I had 105 fever. 2 hours later, I was normal. 2 hours later, I had 105 fever. Had no idea what was going on. Didn't want to go down to the doctor's office because I just figured it'd be like going to the school nurse. They're going to give me 2 aspirin and, tell me to see them in the morning if I needed to. little did I know that on board a cruise ship, they have CAT scan machines and everything, and the doctor that was down there happened to be a cardiologist. Well, they did tests literally for about an hour, kept doing blood tests over and over because the results were so weird. And then they told me they needed to either quarantine me to my room or stay in the hospital room there, or they were going to try to fly me off the ship. That was the first thing that they wanted to do, but it was too stormy, and they couldn't do it. By the time I got home, literally from that cruise, my hemoglobin was at 5.3. Most people were around dead by then. I had no idea what hemoglobin even meant at that point. And then I get told, a few hours later that I have acute myelogenous leukemia with a 97% death rate within 2 weeks. So that was an interesting period for us. Fortunately, as you said, you can listen to what the doctors say, or you can listen to the man upstairs. And I had absolutely, without any question, I had no inkling in my mind. I had no doubt in my mind that this was not going to be the end. The Lord had given me a lot of things that he wanted me to do in my life, and they weren't done yet. And I just knew this wasn't my time. Well, obviously it wasn't. 2 years later, in order to stay alive, I needed a bone marrow transplant. Even though I had had a healing, without question, a supernatural healing, which I'll explain if you'd like me in detail to do, I screwed up, and the disease came back. And this time they told me that the chemo wasn't going to do anything, and that I actually did have to have the bone marrow transplant. So in the beginning of his chemo, 2 years later, it was the bone marrow transplant. I was fortunate that my sister was what you call a perfect match, which doesn't mean exactly what it sounds like. But I was completely disabled, unable to talk for periods of time, long periods of time. Had to stay in my house for almost 5 years other than to go to the hospital. Often would find myself, looking out the window and drooling, and it was 5 hours later and I was soaking wet. So the fact that you're hearing me even speak intelligently is in itself a miracle. And of course,
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you know anything about leukemia, it's not the disease itself that kills you. It's the fact that you have no immune system. And I got pneumonia 14 times, serious pneumonia. But then this is the verse I stood on in Psalm 118:17, I shall not die but live and declare the works of the Lord. And that's when I became a rabbi shortly afterwards, when I got my act back together and learned what I needed to learn, and now teach people how to get healed and get healed permanently and by God. So here I am, my friend, and I'm willing to answer anybody's questions or send them onto our website when you're ready to let them watch the entire series of what I did, and how they can do exactly the same thing. Hope that helps.
Wow. That's powerful, man. Again, it's a walking miracle and a testimony of God's grace and power. And Rabbi, we have some folks on the line. We have people listen to the recording who are experiencing some financial challenges. And so I wanted you to speak directly to them and give them a few things to do. And then obviously, you want to give them your website. And I tell you, that is powerful, powerful information. And I know you have some videos, and then you're going to also give them a website where they can get a free book. Man, I read your book. I loved it. Then you offered another book. I got that, read that, and just powerful, powerful information. And, folks, if you're listening again live, text somebody, call somebody quickly, get them on this call. And if not, if you're hearing the recording, then you want to make sure you take action and listen to what the rabbi is teaching and telling you. Because it's not just a regular rabbi. He believes in Yeshua HaMashiach. Come on, somebody. So talk to us, Doc. So again, this healing process, talk to somebody. There's somebody right now going through, and maybe they're in a dark period where they think they cannot be healed. Now, hearing your story, hopefully they got some hope from there. But give them a pointer or two, and then point them to your website and share some things with them that you think could help them.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure everyone who's listening is not, a Christian or a Messianic Jew or a believer. So I have to say that one of the biggest problems that most people have, I'm not talking about Christians, I'm not talking about believers now, is the fact that, A, they only have to listen to what the doctor says, which, we all have to keep in mind that they don't call it a practice because he's got it together. He's practicing on us and we're the guinea pigs, and enough people, have XYZ result from XYZ drug, then this is what everybody gets. Well, unfortunately, there is an absolute positive, statement from the Lord that we are healed, not that we will be healed or we can be healed, but that we are healed. And yet, Amen. So many people, including Christians, believers are just as sick as everybody else out there because they're not really understanding, the fact that our body, we understand from the physical world and the people who sell nutritional products and so on, that it works. This nutritional product will do X, Y, Z, or this drug will do X, Y, Z. But the reality is that our bodies were and are made to completely heal themselves. Now, it's real easy for me to say that, 15 years after all these events, and having gone through all of this. And I also understand when you're in the middle of it, when you've got incredible back pain, when you've got cancer, when you get told you've got less than 2 weeks to live and 97% of the people die within those 2 weeks, that's pretty serious stuff. So I can say this, that in the healing teaching, which is at the website gethealedfast.com. That's gethealedfast.com. The very first part of it, it's a 5-part series, and they're all about 9, 10, 11 minutes each. So it's not like, you're on there for hours and hours.
But let me say this, but they are so good. Greg Baker told me about it. He said, man, you're not going to believe my rabbi's testimony. And so I went right to that site, gethealedfast.com. Folks, write that down. Get this out to people. People are sick. People are hurting. Listen, get them to the site, www.gethealedfast.com, and watch those videos. I'm telling you, they're powerful. And as he mentioned, it's broken down step by step. And I would definitely heartily recommend that. And also, he'll tell you about the free book. But I apologize. I just want to emphasize that to everybody.
Absolutely. In the very first video, there's an exercise that you do that takes literally about a minute. And I don't mean a physical exercise where you're out of breath or you're anything. You're literally just standing up and doing something with your body. And the point of that exercise, which I have to say this all the time, even though it says it on the video, watching me do it is nothing, not at all helpful to you. You have to stand up and do the exercise. If you're in a wheelchair, if you're in a bed, you can do this exercise. But you have to do it because what it does is it shows you that within 30 seconds of beginning, literally within 30 seconds, your physical body actually changes substantially. And nobody believes that that's possible. And yet it's the point of what I just said. Nobody believes. And until you 100% believe that your physical mind can change your physical body and do it right away. I mean, I could tell you, story upon story, because we have, from time to time we have live healing teachings and, at our service during at the synagogue. I could tell you about people literally that have had baseball-sized tumors on their shoulder, and literally within a week, it's down to a golf ball, and within a week after, they're gone. I can tell you there was one guy walked in, literally. He walked, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he looked like he was stuck on a stick, and his legs were working properly, but his whole body was stiff. And when he went to sit down, he was sitting in the front row, and literally he could not sit on the chair. His behind was on the front of the chair, and his back was on the back of the chair at the top, but his back was on a 45 degree. He couldn't bend his body to put his backside into the back of the chair. So he was like leaning against the chair, and I'm like, wow, what's going on with this guy? And we went through the whole service, and at the end he walks up to me, and I said to him, I said, I just have to ask you a question. I do this with everyone. Do you believe in your heart, do you believe right now that with this, because he told me what was going on, which I guess I should tell you, that would be helpful. He told me he has a steel rod running down the back of his back from his neck all the way down to his tailbone. And I felt it. There was actually two of them, one on each side, and they were solid as a rock. He says, I'm not only unable to bend, but I'm in excruciating pain all the time. So I asked him a straight-up question. I said, you've learned what you've learned. Now I have a straight-up question. Do you believe that right now, right here in this room, that you're going to be able to move your back and that your pain's going to disappear? And he looked at me in my face, and he looked at me just like I did when that question was asked of me, and I was healed instantaneously of all these issues that I told you about. He said, I absolutely do. I said, okay, great. So literally, he closes his eyes, okay? He says a prayer that I explained to people in there to what to say and how to say it. It's not, it's not Shazam, and it's not, some magic prayer. But he said a prayer of confidence, and the next thing he does, he opens up his eyes. I said, now I want you to do something you're unable to do. He says, well, I'm unable to bend. I said, well, see how far you can bend. And he put his palms out and touched the floor, flat palmed. I can't even do that. Flat palmed.
Wow.
And I'm like, how in the world did this just happen? I'm thinking these steel rods turn into slinkies. Like, what happened to this guy? And he walked out of there. I never saw him again. I didn't know him. But he walked out of there like a normal human being, crying. His pain was gone. And all I can tell you is it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Whether you're fighting with cancer, whether you're fighting with back pain, which is very common in this country. The point is that the first thing is you've got to believe that God has healed you, and then you have to take authority. This is the biggest point. You have to take authority over the issue, demand it in the name of Yeshua, in the name of Jesus. You have to demand that this problem cease and that the source of this problem cease. And the whole teaching is literally about that. And it's literally the problem that I can tell you from having tens of thousands of people healed, from watching it on the internet, no less, is that people think it's too easy, that it can't work. But once they really understand and they get it in their heart and they do what it tells them to do, it's astounding the responses that we get. And I do want to say that underneath the video, there's the first video is right at the top, and then there's go to parts 2, 3, 4, and 5 as a link. But then under that, there's 5 more videos that they can watch that take them into much more depth on each topic. That is extremely helpful. So again, that's at gethealedfast.com.
Wow. So Rabbi, we got about 10 minutes left. So you got to do that exercise, bro, because I'm a martial artist. We practice. I keep telling people, Christian people are so messed up because they go to church and hear preaching and think they learn something. Network marketers are messed up. They go to a conference, hear somebody teach and think they learn something. Martial artists, we don't think we learn anything until we practice it over and over and over again. So let's slow down. You're giving some great stuff. Folks, go to www.gethealedfast.com. Get this information. But can you just walk us through the practice, that little simple exercise? Because I did it. I followed along, and I was like, man, it's incredible. Because it's one of the things that we teach also in the martial arts and so forth in our breakthrough stuff. But it was just excellent having somebody else walk me through it, and I just followed along. So could you do that, Rabbi, if you don't mind? I think there's people that are listening that would experience a breakthrough just by following this one example. I think will open up. And, of course, they're going to go to gethealedfast.com and follow along in those videos. So walk us through it.
Yeah, it's a little hard verbally, but I'll do my best. If you're listening right now, you need to stand up if you can. Okay, stand up and literally and just listen to what I'm telling you before you do it. Okay, you need to stand up. You need to put your hands together like you're praying. Okay, but extend them out in front of you, so that, and I don't mean up above your head. I mean straight out in front of you. Put your hands together, put them together, and put your arms out till your arms are straight. And then don't let your elbows bend at any time. Okay? So you need to keep your feet planted on the ground, nice and firm. Don't let your heels come up. And what you're going to do is you're literally going to just take your arms and turn them left or right, whichever direction you want to go, and go as far, rotate your upper torso with your arms pointed straight in front of you. And again, don't let your elbows bend. And literally just keep them straight and turn as far as you can. And what you're doing is you're looking down your hand, the top of your hand, almost like a gun sight. And you're seeing, when you look down at your hand, right someplace on the wall or wherever you are, exactly how far could you turn your body from that, just straight up. Just you're standing there, you're making every effort, you're turning as hard as you can, and you're pushing, and when you get to the end, just look at the wall, see where you got to, remember it, and that's as far as your body will go. Now, you can't move after that except to turn your body back and put your arms down and relax. And then the next thing that I would ask you to do, let me ask you, Doc, do you want me to have them do that right now with us? Because they got to take 30 seconds of dead air time.
Yeah, man, my wife and I are up doing it with you, man. Come on.
Okay, so let's do it. So everybody do that. Stand up right now. Get the arms out in front of you. Keep the arms straight. Don't let your elbows bend. Don't bend your arms. Twist as far as you possibly can. And I mean as far as you can. Remember the spot on the wall. Okay? And then put your arms down. Okay, now, I want you to do it again, but I don't want you to do it yet. What I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. Just be relaxed. You don't have to have any kind of special stance. Just don't move, okay? Because we're going to do it again in 30 seconds. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to see, literally, in your mind as clearly as you can, I want you to see exactly what you did, see yourself turning as far as you can, but when you get to the spot where you stopped, I want you to imagine and see clearly that you went well beyond that spot, and literally your body turned substantially further than you did the first time. So let's do that. Put your arms back up, straight in front of you. Lock your elbows so you're not turning, you're not bending your arms. Twist as far as you possibly can in the same direction, okay? But first, let's stop for 30 seconds, and let's start right now with 30 seconds. See it in your mind clearly. Okay, open your eyes. Okay, put your arms out in front of you. Lock your elbows. Keep your feet planted firmly on the ground. And turn your body as far as you can and watch the difference of how far you go.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Baby, did you
you know what? And literally what it's showing people, because I want to say it again, not everybody that's listening to this believes in God, okay? And they don't believe in healing, especially when you've been sick for a long time. And the fact that you could do something as simple as what I just said, and your mind can cause your physical body to change that dramatically, that you can do something that dramatically in 30 seconds just by imagining it and believing it. You know, my first example of this was when my son was a kid, and he was going on to a bowling league, and he stunk. He was the worst kid on the team, and his average was in the 60s. And I watched him, and he just wasn't learning. He wasn't getting it. And I remember being taught something like this, and I walked up to him one day and I said, listen, I don't want you to move from this spot back here until you close your eyes and you see yourself getting a strike. And don't move until you see that clearly, that you're getting a strike this time. And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he threw a strike. And that kid went from mid-60s to 164 average and was the best kid on his team in like a week. And that's all he ever did, was he just saw the result that he wanted, and he saw it clearly. And because he saw that result the first time, and it wasn't imperative that he got a strike the first time. It would have been nice if he just didn't throw gutter balls all the time. Okay, but the fact that he got a strike gave him even more confidence that his mind is controlling things. And I know in basketball, they literally have you shooting the hoops without shooting the ball, just standing there and seeing the ball go in, and it's no different. So, that's the beginning. But the people really need to listen to the study, because I take it conceptually from a realistic point of view of not even believing that any of this is possible. And again, I'm going to repeat, especially if you've had, pain for a long period, if you've been sick or you're intensely sick, I could tell story after story of things that have happened, within the letters, emails that I get from people. It's just startling, so it's cool. And I'm really glad you had me come on. I want to tell the people about one more thing, if you don't mind, which is not my book. Long before I learned all this, if you remember back in 2001 is when I had the heart attack. I had a widowmaker heart attack, and for the first year I was in a clinical trial with chelation therapy, which for me didn't work. There was 200 people in it. It was a real clinical trial, and I went through 2 cardiologists who just let me go and said, look, if you don't have a multiple bypass, you're going to die like any day. You are so clogged up, and your blood pressure is way too high. And I know you're taking these drugs and they're bringing your blood pressure down, but you're non-functional. You need to have this multiple bypass. And I was 46 when I had the heart attack, and I refused. And my response to them was, look, it's dumb, in my opinion. I mean, you wouldn't do this to a car. You wouldn't take a perfectly good hose from a part of your car that's working and put it where hose is all clogged up, which was my problem, is I had clogged arteries, until you fix the reason why the artery is clogged. And they said there are no drugs to do that. We can't open these arteries. We can't clean these arteries out. There is no such thing. So after a year, I stayed alive, obviously. The second doctor dropped me, and I got back to the original doctor when I had the heart attack, and he says, look, you got to have this done. Nobody wants you dying on their watch. So I said, you give me 4 or 5 months, and if I die, I die. It's not on you. But I'm going to find every clinical trial that is out there on human beings and put together a natural ingredient list for me. I'm going to take all this stuff, and if it doesn't work in 4 or 5 or 6 months, then I'll come in and I'll do whatever we need to do. And he just looked at me. He was kind and all that other stuff. But we put together a natural, it's a chocolate drink that tens of thousands, actually probably over 100,000 people have taken and used. I don't own the company anymore. I sold it to my son when I became a rabbi. But it's a natural drink with over 40 natural ingredients that definitely lowers your blood pressure, definitely clears out your arteries. When I went in for the bone marrow transplant, they wouldn't even let me, I'm sorry, not for the bone marrow, for the chemo, they wouldn't even let me take the chemo because it was so cardiotoxic, until I had my cardiologist say that my arteries were strong enough. So this is the guy who, when I had the heart attack 2.5 years earlier, has my screens, did the work and saw how clogged up I was. And I had to go back to him, and they had to go back in, with the catheterization, and they had to look and see what my arteries were doing so he could clear me so I could get the chemo in the beginning. And he gets in there, and he starts, I don't know if you ever had one of these done, but you're awake, and you're looking at a screen, and you're seeing your inside of your heart and everything else. It was a little weird. But he winds up taking his gloves off and calling all these people into the room. And I forgot I was in a teaching hospital. And he said, look at the screen from 2.5 years ago and look at the screen from now and tell me what's wrong with this picture. And they all said, that's not possible. And I'm thinking, what's not possible? He said, this guy made a product called Tikva for himself. Tikva is a Hebrew word for hope. And he made it for himself, and it's doing what he said it would do. It not only is he off all my drugs, but his arteries are clean as a whistle, is the way he put it. Obviously, I got cleared to have the work done, for the chemo and so on. But that was 2004 when I had that done. And I started taking it in 2003. So literally, no, it wasn't. No, it was 2006. So I started taking it in 2003. In 2006 is when I actually had to have the catheterization to see what was going on. And in that 2.5 years is actually what it was. My arteries were clean as a whistle. And since 2006, 12 years ago, I haven't taken that product at all, and I still have clean arteries. I still have my blood pressure is normal. I don't take any drugs for any cardiovascular anything.
Wow! Come on.
Yeah, it was designed to resolve the issue using your body's ability, and natural ingredients. Everything is natural. If the people have, a need for that, the website is Drink Tikva, TIKVA, drinktikva.com. And they can read all about it, all the studies, all the people, everything's on there.
Wow.
And again, I have nothing to do with that anymore. It's my son's company. But, you can call them and talk to them, if you want, but whatever. I just wanted to share that too, because it's an important piece of information.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, folks, if you go to gethealedfast.com, like I said, you get the powerful training by the Rabbi. Also, you better get a copy of the book. But I think also information on that product is on that website as well. At the bottom, it'll give you.
Yeah, I forgot that. They can just click on the picture and it takes them right to it.
Yes.
You know better than I do. I haven't been on the site in so long.
Oh, yes, sir. So, but folks, I'm telling you, also the Rabbi's got some powerful training. You can get it free on finances. So some people need financial healing. I mean, some people obviously need to, like I said, as he talked about the physical healing and some of the spiritual healing, that the book's going to help you with that as well. But the financial healing, there's some videos he has on there. So I'm telling you, www.gethealedfast.com. And also you'll see where you can click to get his book absolutely free. Now, wait a minute. We're not just talking about a book. We're talking about a book that's already sold over 500,000 copies or more, and he's allowing you, because you're a guest on it, he's allowing you to get that free. So go to www.gethealedfast.com, get the book, take advantage, watch the training, click on for the financial training. I mean, get that product if you have a problem with high blood pressure, whatever else. And then real quick, Rabbi, I want to segue into this as we come to a close. But I know there's a company you're part of with Greg, NetCube, and you rarely join companies. I mean, you built that company. You're a rabbi. You got so many busy things going, but you got connected with that. And I know one of the things with that NetCube is that you're able to have someone who has a product, who has a service, that they can fill out a form, and if it gets accepted by the company, then that's another income stream. And although the company now belongs to your son, I think you were able to get that product submitted, and it's now accepted by the company. Is that correct?
Yes, it was submitted. They reviewed it. They did all their due diligence. NetCube has accepted it. The contract has been sent to my son, Matt, and it'll be available. I don't know when, but they're in the contractual side of things and, all that good stuff. I do want to say, because the increasing your income teaching is not on gethealedfast.com. That's on our synagogue website, and that website is www.1, that's the numeral 1, that's the number 1, Messiah, spelled M as in Mary, ESSIAH.org, onemessiah.org. You click on the teachings tab, and it says increase your income. We didn't talk about this, and it's not super, critical. I've built several multi-million-dollar companies before I was a rabbi, and I'm not talking about in network marketing. I'm talking about traditional companies. They all started from scratch with no huge investment. In fact, one of them, we went to the flea market for 2 weeks and 2 weekends, and the money we got from the flea market is how we started the company that wound up being $1 million company. So, yeah, it's www.onemessiah.org. Go to the teachings tab, go to the increase your income, And there is a substantial amount of step-by-step. And again, I appreciate your letting me share that with people because, hey, we all need to be well. We all need to be, financially secure. And there's no reason why anyone in any situation can't have both.
Wow. Well, again, we appreciate so much this powerful information. And folks, I'm telling you, he's just barely scratching the surface. You got to go to his website. You just have to. You owe it to yourself. And especially if you're connected to someone who's sick and all they're doing is listening to their practicing physician. As a matter of fact, Job called them physicians of no value. And again, most physicians have a sincere heart. They mean well, but there's certain laws that they're governed by that a lot of times they can only tell you things that really aren't for your good. I mean, that's called, as far as crisis care is concerned, American doctors are excellent. But as far as your health is concerned, that's another different story. And so, folks, I'm telling you, you're hearing some information tonight, and I want you to take advantage. You're listening to someone. Did you hear what he said? 5 years. Did you hear what he said, being in the house for a year? I'm telling you. So he understands what it's like to be at the depth of depression. I always say to you, by the way, every master was at once a mess. Therefore, every mess can one day be a master. So it doesn't matter where you are now. It's where you want to be. And God's trying to help you to get there, my friend. And so we're committed here at the Kingdompreneur Bible Success Call to bring you information like this to help you, to assist you. And again, special shout out to Mr. Greg Baker for introducing the Rabbi to me by way of his website and his trainings. And then I was able to call him, and we're both part of the same company. As a matter of fact, Rabbi, we just made 5-star gold. And, all we did it in about 25 days, but all we did was we found a lot of people. I have a unique way I present it, and that is I hire people to work for themselves, only doing what they like to do for as little as they like or as much as they like. And they kind of thought that was a good deal. So,
yeah, I like that approach.
So, again, thank you very much. And, folks, I'm telling you, you can be healed physically. You can be healed spiritually. You can be healed financially. You can be healed emotionally. I don't care what people have told you. You heard somebody, you heard living proof. And not only that, my friend, you can get some of this information absolutely free. And some of you need to take advantage of that product. Order it from his son's the website there, and I'm sure you'll be glad you did. As we depart, Rabbi, is there any closing words you'd like to give to the folks? And again, I'm believing that everybody hears this call, and those here in the recording, you're going to go to the website, take advantage of the training and so forth, and follow this advice that I believe can help you experience a breakthrough. So closing words, Rabbi.
Yeah, I would say that, there's a saying that is, if I said the first few words, I'll believe it when and everybody knows the end of that is see it. And the difference is once you understand, the truth is, I'll see it when I believe it. And
come on.
That's the difference. It's not I'll believe it when I see it. You have to see it, and then once you see it, believe me, you'll believe it because everything in your body will change. It is startling that this is so basic. For a guy like me, to be able to have gone through literally physical hell for so long and literally learn what I learned, and it's all biblical, learn what I learned and then see how modern science has backed all this up, but it's never put out there. It's just really sad. So again, I really hope people will.
Yes, sir. Uh-oh, did we lose you, Rabbi? Okay, I think we might have lost him. I'm not sure. But, Father, in Jesus' name, we seal this. We claim the blood. We ask you for those who are sick, those who are living below their privileges. I pray, Lord, that you would bring them, first of all, to yourself, but then, Father, you'd give them the healing that they desire and that you deserve. So because of the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach, we claim victory in Jesus' name, and we declare health and healing. We declare financial salvation for folks. We call out the devil. His work has to cease. You said you came to destroy the works of the devil. So we claim that in Jesus' name. Amen and amen.